About every year at Christmas time, there's that one hot toy item that everyone is trying to get. From Beanie Babies to Tickle Me Elmo, from Furby to the Nintendo Wii, it seems like every generation has one. But nothing, and I mean nothing, can compare to the sheer insanity that broke out all over the country for one line of dolls. It was the original Black Friday. What was that line of dolls? You know exactly the line that I'm talking about. Let's talk about the Cabbage Patch Riots of 1983 today on Toysplosion.
The Cabbage Patch Kids. Some of this year's babies have a first tooth.
Is she okay, Doc?
She's just teething.
What a relief.
Brand new hairstyles.
What lovely hair. Where does she have it done?
It's natural.
It's natural.
And some kids even wear eyeglasses.
Like them?
Like them. I love them.
They're one of a kind. They're Cabbage Patch Kids. You can give them all of your love.
So before we get into the fist fights over children's toys from 1983, let's learn a little bit about the Cabbage Patch dolls. The dolls were registered in the United States Copyright Office in 1978 by Xavier Roberts, originally as the Little People, not to be confused with the line of small figures and playsets by Fisher-Price. These original Little People dolls were all one of a kind, each individually hand-stitched and made out of cloth and yarn. Xavier said that his dolls weren't for sale, but rather up for adoption. Each doll was different, with its own name and even its own individual birth certificate. These dolls were first sold only at places like craft shows, but later were sold out of the Babyland General Hospital in Cleveland, Georgia, an old medical clinic that Xavier essentially turned into a toy store. Here you can see the dolls being born in the Cabbage Patch, as well as have the employees perform checkups before adopting the baby and bringing it home. Babyland General Hospital is even still open to this day and is still visited by die-hard Cabbage Patch fans. In 1982, toy company Coleco licensed the dolls for mass production, changing the construction of the dolls to now include the large vinyl heads that they are known for now, and officially changing their name to Cabbage Patch dolls. Maintaining the feature of each doll being different, Coleco had 9 different head types that would be randomly matched with various bodies, and each still had its own name and its own individual birth certificate. Coleco knew that they had something special, but as the 1983 Christmas shopping season approached, they'd soon realize that even they had underestimated just how special.
What do we tell our little girl Christmas morning? What are we supposed to say? You've been good, but Santa ran short?
Those who can't get their own have been known to snatch from others.
Where is she? Do you see her? Is that what Christmas is about?
I agree with you 100%.
A full-grown woman taking a doll out of a child's hand?
It was insanity. Coleco's supply could not match the high demand, and soon people all across the nation found themselves racing to stores and fighting with each other just to ensure that their kids could get the toy that they wanted for Christmas. The stories are well documented. The media, of course, was all over this strange phenomenon. But I happen to know someone who was there, who was on the front lines in the madness. My mom, Tina Erdley. So I sat down to talk to her to learn all about her experiences with the Cabbage Patch Riots.
Venture was the store I was working at that time, and wow, crazy. Yeah. Well, it was, I guess it's about a month before Christmas. We were getting all the things ready for Christmas and everything and that, and we had a staff meeting, and the manager is like, Well, supposedly this new item, Cabbage Patch dolls, are real popular. So we're going to have to set up a special area for them and everything. And that headquarters wants us to put an area set up with just the Cabbage Patch dolls, so people can, pick them up and that. And we're like, oh, okay, nobody really thinking, it's not going to be crazy.
I had no idea what was in store.
No. we had a notification out that we had the Cabbage Patch dolls, and it was already starting where people were trying to find these dolls, and we're like, we might have people in here. And so it was on a Sunday when they had breaks and that we had it out that we had the Cabbage Patch dolls. And that day, I will never forget, I was standing behind the service desk, the store wasn't open yet, and we were getting the register set up, and I looked out the door and I'm like, holy cow, that's quite a few people standing out there. And I called the manager up, and he comes up and he's like, why is there so many people out there? And I go, that's why you're up here. I don't know what's going on. Well, he ended up calling security down and everything, and one of the guys went out from the back and come around to find out, why everybody was there, and he comes back in and goes, oh my gosh, he said they're here for the dolls.
Wow.
And we're like, oh my gosh. Well, more of that, we're getting ready, and I'm looking out the doors because the doors are right in front of my desk. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And the crowd is just getting bigger and bigger. And they're pushing up against the doors. And you can see the doors doing this. And you're thinking, oh crap, what's going to happen? And so the manager's like, we're going to have to open now. He says, are you guys ready? And we're like, okay. Well, before the doors open, I grabbed all my checkers and said, get over here. Grabbed all the girls that were working that morning and got them behind the service desk and closed the door. It's like, you guys should stay here until we find out what's going to happen. They opened the doors, and these people just swarmed in. They were pushing, they were shoving, trying to get through the doors. And I mean, we are all, and the manager and the security guards yelling at them, slow down, quit pushing. And I mean, they're literally just pushing each other out of the way. And we had a sign with the Cabbage Patch doll pointing that way. They knocked the sign off, and they run over, and they're going to the section with the tables. And we have people standing over there. They're jumping out of the way. These people are literally shoving each other, grabbing these dolls, pushing each other down, grabbing them out of each other's hands.
Oh my gosh.
And we're all standing there just looking, going, oh my God, what the heck is going on? It was nuts. It was nuts. We end up calling the police to come over to try to help calm the crowd down. It just got crazy. They get up to the registers, and the girls are at the registers, and they're all just like, what's going on? Because the people that are in line trying to buy them, they got two, and people are grabbing them out of their hands, trying to grab them from the other people because they want these dolls. It was just unbelievable. After they were all gone, people were still coming in that day looking for them. We're like, we're sold out, And everybody just like one big breath, like, holy cow. It was unbelievable. I will never forget that day.
It's funny because these were so popular, but it seems that most people didn't understand why. In fact, most of the adults that were out there buying these seemed to have the same opinion about the way that they looked.
I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't like their faces, but I want one.
As far as I'm concerned, they're the worst looking things I've ever seen. I mean, they are pathetic looking, they're homely.
I don't know what exactly the attachment is. I think they're cute, but kind of funny looking.
I thought it was ugly.
Yeah.
The big head and I don't know, it did not look like a doll that I would want to cuddle up with.
So is it safe to say you didn't understand the hype behind it?
I did not understand the hype behind it. Me and quite a few other people, but I still to this day when I look at it think, how did that happen?
But it didn't matter how they looked. Kids wanted them, and parents wanted to find them, no matter what it took.
I remember when it went down, it's not too far from the registers and that, we hear this high-pitched scream, and we're just like all turning to find out what it was, and these two women had each other by the hair. By the hair, yanking each other's hair, trying to grab this dowel between them, fighting over this dowel. And they're just screaming and I mean, hands of hair. And we're just like, oh. And so I'm trying to get a hold of, the security to get over there and that. And I grabbed my girl, because her register was close to that, and I ran over there and grabbed her and pulled her off her register. And these two women were just fighting each other. And then I remember a gentleman just leaping over this crowd of people and that, trying to get to the table. I mean, he was just like flying and that. And the whole time you're standing there in shock with your mouth open going, what's wrong with these people? It's just a dowel.
Right. You're at a point now, like you crossed Black Friday, you're only getting maybe 20 in at a time, but did this go all the way up until Christmas Day with people coming in and looking for these things? And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It went all the way through until really when the craze really tried to finally slow down some of that, like the tail end, especially when you get past the Christmas and everything, all of a sudden there's dowels coming in, you know. All of a sudden you're getting all these dowels and you're like, yeah, well, you had them in a warehouse somewhere, And all of a sudden we're getting hundreds at a time and that. We're still selling them, but it's not crazy.
Right.
And that. It's finally calmed down to the point people come in and go, oh, can I get more than one? You can take as many as you want now, because it was at that point where...
Eventually, Christmas 1983 came and went. Just like every time this has happened since, supply eventually met demand, and thus interest died down.
Yes, we ended up with quite a few on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where, it's like, well, what do we do?
Right.
They sold, but they ended up where they cut their orders back and that because they just wasn't selling like they were before. But
amazing.
Wish we had them during Christmas.
Yeah. In 1988, Coleco filed for bankruptcy, and Hasbro took over the rights to produce Cabbage Patch Kids. In 1994, the rights jumped from Hasbro to Mattel. In 2001, retailer Toys R Us stepped in and began producing the dolls themselves all the way until 2003, when the rights then switched over to Play Along Toys. Jakks Pacific eventually acquired Play Along Toys in 2013, thus also acquiring the rights to Cabbage Patch Kids, which brings us to today, where Cabbage Patch Kids are still being produced, now by toy company Wicked Cool Toys. That makes the Cabbage Patch Kids one of the longest produced doll lines in toy history. And while there may have been crazy Black Friday sales and hot Christmas toys since 1983, nothing has come close to the pure hysteria of those 1983 Cabbage Patch Riots.
I don't like them. I don't like their faces, but I want one.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Toysplosion. I had a lot of fun with this one. It was really cool getting to sit down and get face to face with my mom and have her tell these awesome stories about living this crazy phenomenon in toy history. I know that this is a bit of a different story. It's not action figure based, but I love weird toy events like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this unique perspective that I was able to bring you. Once again, I got to give a very special thanks to the sponsor of this video, Megalopolis Toys. Be sure to head over there and do some nice after Christmas shopping with them. And again, massive thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for being there to support me and to help keep this series going. Hope you guys all had a happy holiday season. Until next time, my friends.